fertility of the soil is our real wealth, and this real wealth is being robbed and not replaced.
Ko Imperial Hau, he kaimahi pāmu no te wararapa, te whenua anoreira tēnā. It became increasingly clear to me that there was a real synergy between the family-operated Hatuma Lime Company and the tikanga principles of Māori. When we talk about kaitiaki-tangaship, manaaki-tanga, whanaunga-tanga, to me as a Māori farmer, they mean a lot.
My father was an innovator, and he was an enthusiast, and he was a thinker, and he wasn't afraid of change, but it had to be for the better. Sustainability wasn't one of my father's words. It was always environmental and wastage, and he used to say publicly in speeches there was $200 million a year wasted because we were applying water-soluble fertilisers to the land. If you didn't look after the soils properly and treat them with due regard, it would be disastrous for the nation. And he set a wonderful template for us to follow, and we've followed that, and we've been true to that. There's a lot of things in the world today that are unsustainable. The whole thing is that the scientific world is catching up with the stance that he took all those years ago.
Whaia, whaia, whaia ki te here tapanui o tāne. Tāne te waiora, tāne te kupenga, tāne te tukurangi. Puta ki te whaio, ki te ao marama. I've always felt that the waterways were the veins of the earth. They're the lifeblood of the whole system going out to sea. And it became obvious to me that what was happening in the water, the degradation, something needed to change.
I think it's easy for us to be passionate about what we do because on the one hand, we're following on from the good work that our grandfather and our parents have done before us. And on the other hand, there's an obligation for us to share the solutions that we've learnt to the greater farming community for the better of New Zealand.
My name is Jason Benj from the Agribusiness Group. Since 2009, the group has been leading a research project called Farming for the Future. In this, we are trying to find efficiencies in farming by studying an alternative sheep beef management system. An important feature of this system is the lower nutrient inputs that are predominantly supplied in the form of dicalcic phosphate fertilisers. These deliver plant-available forms of nutrients that are thought to be less detrimental to the soil than conventional water-soluble fertilisers. The results to date for the farms in this project indicate that average production and financial bottom lines have been similar to industry averages. Also, the modelled environmental outcomes have been similar to or better than the available benchmarks. Soil and pasture quality has been moderate to good, with no evidence of the farms being disadvantaged. Further monitoring is planned over the coming years to improve our understanding of this alternative approach to farming.
Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate is produced by reacting lime and superphosphate
under carefully controlled conditions that have been refined by Hatuma for over 5 decades. The active product of this chemical reaction is a fully plant-available form of calcium phosphate that is unique to dicalcic fertilizers. Other calcium compounds present in the final product provide sulfur and carbon in forms that stimulate plant and soil biomass growth. Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate is also water insoluble, meaning the phosphate stays where it's meant to and not washed away or leached into our precious waterways. The holistic effect of fertilizing with Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate makes the stable product greater than the sum of its original components, providing better results forever at a lower cost. Long-standing formula. Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate has been made according to a carefully managed process for over 50 years. It involves fusing limestone and superphosphate together to provide the best of both worlds in one friendly product. Neutral pH. With a neutral pH of 6.5 to 7, Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate maintains a balanced environment in the soil for better soil nutrient and trace element efficiencies. Non-water soluble. Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate is non-water soluble. That means it takes approximately 297,000 litres of water to dissolve 100 kg of Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate. As a comparison, it takes only 4,160 litres to do the same to 100 kg of superphosphate. Plant available. The phosphate in Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate is fully plant available as the plant needs it, so you're not going to experience the highs and lows of pasture production. More energy equals less environmental impact. With Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate, the carbon from the limestone is retained. It's then put back into the soil biomass to rapidly recycle the above-ground waste before it becomes an environmental residue. Better past utilisation. Say goodbye to rank pastures like brown top and rat's tail and increase your past utilisation without forcing stock onto it or eyeing up the neighbour's block to increase land use. Less phosphate input. You're feeding your farm but using half the phosphate, or in many cases less than half, than the old model of farming would have recommended. That's better for your pocket and the environment. Improved self-sufficiency. In previous research, Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate properties were averaging 1,600 earthworms per square metre. That's 50% more than the neighbouring properties who were using costly high analysis products. A bigger workforce recycling waste means less impact on the environment and less reliance on costly nutrients. Clover growth. Ag research tests have shown that Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate encourages the rhizobium bacteria to flourish. These little guys make sure your clover has all the nitrogen it needs to be competitive with neighbouring grasses. And better national support. With a Hatuma field representative, a balanced technical sales representative, or an Oldham field sales member all only a phone call away, you're going to be well looked after with advice on which Hatuma Dicalcic Phosphate product is best for you.
All farmers have a real genuine feeling for their farm, and the observations that I could see were a marked increase in stock performance, a marked increase in stock health, a lowering of inputs, consequently higher profitability for the farm. This was apart, of course, from the environmental benefits I could see happening on the farm.
Matara nei, e runga, whakaere ake ki runga, ki tīna hui e tāki e.
Hatuma is just based on family. That is it. It's about family commitment. We all believe in the same thing. We brought our children up the way we've all been brought up the same way. Is that this is about the belief, the passion for the company, the passion for the product. It's privilege. You know, you wake up in the morning and you've got a purpose, you've got a job, you've got clean air, you've got clean water. You know what you're doing is good. You know, it's providing wholesome, good products that are going to create a difference to
That's the main
somebody
thing.
else's
That's the main
life,
thing.
you know?
We treat the staff as part of our extended family. Many of them have been part of Anna and I's childhood and grown up, and they share our passion for what we do.
We think it's important that our children get to see what we do during the day, and we get a kick out of taking them up in the quarry and showing them the fossils and looking for sharks' teeth and taking them down and to watch the dispatch area in action. I think it's important that intergenerational knowledge and values that we learnt are getting passed down to that next generation, and it's completely up to them what they do with it, but we'll certainly be giving them the same opportunities that we had.
Having a family-owned business is keeps the intergenerational knowledge alive and is sustained, and that's the important part of a family business with a message like ours. It's not about how great we were or how great we might be, but it's about how grateful we are.